Kevin and Steve, founders of Bombers and Sleeves, a clothing and lifestyle brand dedicated to artists, writers, musicians, anyone currently on the creative path, or anyone looking to start a creative journey of their own. Our goal with this podcast and company is to encourage you to win the internal battle of your creative pursuit. And we sum that up in 3 words, and those 3 words are bomb your boundaries. Now, what does that mean? Well, let's think about it for a second. What has more concentrated, focused, intense energy than a bomb? Not that much fucking else. And so we use that as a metaphor to encourage you to get determined, get focused, and push past fear, doubt, anxiety to make your dreams come true, to make that creative vision come through. And so you're going to hear that a lot on the podcast. It's the slogan for the entire company, and we use it a lot. So now when you hear that, you know what it means. And we have an amazing guest here today. I met this gentleman I guess it's going on 2 years ago. We were at an industry event, and I was there by myself just doing the networking thing, and standing next to this guy, and we just started talking about life, and I was like, damn, this is a fucking cool guy right here. So we were like, hey, man, well, we should catch up outside of this and get some drinks. And due to his schedule, I guess both our schedules, it was almost a year after that we finally made that happen. Went over to Tennessee Brew Works here in Nashville and had a great time, man. Sat there for three hours drinking beers and just talking about all sorts of things. And so this is an awesome guy. He's one of those guys where you meet and you just know he's a brother for life. So I felt that right away and wanted to get him involved with the company and kind of bring him into our inner circle here. And he's been kind enough to represent our brand out on the road. He's a fantastic musician, has a great band, and has been touring for quite some time. We're going to get into all that today and kind of share his story on how he got to where he is today, and also some exciting stuff for what's coming up for him. So I'm going to hand it over to Steve, because Steve has had a great experience with this gentleman as well, and I'll let him introduce him name-wise and all that stuff too.
Yeah, man. Well, the first time I ever met our guest, he was rocking 8 wheels in the Truth, and that means on roller skates. It was for Kevin's party about a month ago, and just like Kev said, just such a cool guy, and I think we talked a lot that night and ended up working together today, wrote a smash today. It was just, it was awesome. It was a great idea that he brought in. So we're going to give you artist and singer-songwriter, Mr. Garret Speer.
Welcome, brother.
Y'all?
What's up, man?
Come on, buddy.
Thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being here, man. So yeah, man, let's just, I kind of want to recreate that story that you told the first time we got together. So let's just go ahead and slow it down and, tell everyone where you're from, how you got into music, your whole, kind of family background is really interesting. So definitely touch on that for us too, please.
Yeah, sure. I grew up in a town called Fort Myers, Florida, South Florida, about an hour and a half from Tampa. Grew up playing sports in high school, doing the whole jockey thing, learning playing music in church, at 17 to 18. I was a worship leader in front of about 400 people. And, just fell in love with music. Even after high school, started working for Guitar Center, the retail job for the musicians.
Oh, yeah.
And, that's right.
Loved every minute of it. Met some great people there. Still to this day, some great connections I still have, in the industry, even in the long run. So it was great. It was great. And went to college for a couple of years, dropped out, went back, went for another 2 years, didn't graduate, and pursued my music career.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And so kind of dive into that journey that took you into wanting to start that music career in the first place. Was it something you always wanted to do? Or?
Yeah, ever since I started playing guitar about 11 years old, and didn't want to, I never became a singer until I was about 15, never wanted to sing, and just kind of came to be the next thing after I learned guitar and, just experimented with it. And they asked me to sing in church, and I was like, yeah, okay, good start. My dad kind of made me, honestly.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he did now because, it's turned into a good career for me and, it made me very happy, great
Thanks,
job.
Dad.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Dad.
you, Dad.
Yeah,
I do owe it to him because I didn't want to do it at first, but I learned, and then getting into my 18 and 19 years, I started, I used to listen to rock music before then, and rock music in church is about all, worship music is all I did. And always loved country. My dad listened to country. I always loved the, songwriter side. He always had an Alan Jackson or Garth Brooks, in his truck. And so I knew all the songs, he listened to all of it. And when I first started playing acoustic guitar, I learned on electric, and I was, big into rock stuff. When I actually learned, broke down and learned how to play actual guitar, I kind of fell in love with the songwriting side. And I don't know, it just, the songs that were coming out, my voice that was coming out was really country. And every studio I was going to record at, it's like, how come you're not doing country, man? You have great country voice. And I'm like, I don't want to do country, I want to do rock. But the more, even without pulling that away, after I dropped out of college the first year, 2 years later, I went back to a private college called Southeastern University in Lakeland, Florida, which is a church/music school. Wonderful college, loved every second of it. Crazy expensive, but I just went for 1 year because I didn't want to go that far into debt. But I tell you what, I learned who I was as an artist, and what I wanted to do, in country, and just literally broke down and wrote songs every day. The whole entire time I was there. And not even really putting a genre on it, just being really creative. And in that, it just, everything was coming out really country, and even with the big, pop country thing still coming out, it loved all the modern music. And my stuff was still, what I had to say was a little step back, and now for this project I'm doing coming up next, you can kind of see that, you can kind of hear, it's in a mix between the new and the 90s,
Oh yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, after college, or when I dropped out of college, I started playing in bars, about 21, 22, playing, acoustic by myself, and kind of got a really good following in South Florida, within a 2-hour radius of people coming to my shows. I was starting to get paid a lot more, because I had a good draw. And just like any kid does, at that point, you start making money at it. I want to move to Nashville because I can do it here, I can do it there,
Yeah.
which, in theory, everybody thinks that before they move here. And then I moved to Jacksonville for a year because a job I work for, a company called UniFirst, they're a service company, and transferred with my company from Fort Myers, Florida to Jacksonville, Florida, and started playing there also. Also developed a pretty good following. Had way better gigs, way bigger gigs there, and same thing. I got to get to Nashville. I was only there for about 9 months, and my job opened up here in Nashville, same company, and worked there for 2 years until I could, start writing some music, start playing some, cover shows, traveling all over. And after a couple of years of doing that and strategically doing it, it just happened for me. I quit my job, kind of out of the blue. I really didn't even have many shows booked, but I'm like, man, I'm too young to not be all in on this, and I don't have a lot of overhead, so I'm going to do it. And I did. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And so remind me again, because I can't remember exactly how you met her, but your manager has been instrumental in a lot of that.
Absolutely.
And excuse me. How did you come about? Because aren't I right? Like it was kind of like the path less taken to sign with her, correct?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, it was. And I had a previous agent that knew. My agent's name is Tracy Decoder, and she's the one that
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out, woohoo! But she's the one that kind of helped me on the professional level. I kind of was talking to her before I quit my job, but I had an agent before her that also knew her. So we kind of were in connection through Facebook, just from friends, and you're always trying to see who's posting what. And, agents know artists like artists know who agents are, you know what I mean? It's kind of a stalking game, and
Yeah.
I was friends with her, and we had talked to me a little bit. She's communicated about a couple shows, never really got me any, but I left my previous agent, wasn't, getting that many shows with her anyway. But so, through mutual acquaintance, she needed a show for Chicago, my agent Tracy. And she's like, I need somebody for the show last minute. It's a day of. Can you please do it? And I knew she's pretty well connected. And I was like, yes, ma'am. I was like, I'll go do it. Let me know. And went and played there. And the general manager Nick was there. And after we played, he's like, man, you guys are probably one of the better bands I've ever heard play here.
Nice.
And I'm like, dude, thank you. I was like, this is my first time. I already toured, but this is my first time under a management booking company. Where her reputation's on the line, just like mine is. And
Right.
I was like, me and him hit it off real good. We drank all night, had a great time. And afterward, I said, would you mind telling her that tomorrow? Would you, even call her or text her, even email her and say, hey, exactly what you told me, because I'm trying to, get connected with her. And he's like, dude, I'll hook you up, no problem. So the next day he called her. He straight up called her, and he's like, hey, I need you to, or he's like, they were great, from what the story holds. I didn't hear it, so it's coming from her, but, he's like, they were great. We'd love to have him back, and through that, I just was getting good responses from a lot of the venues we were playing, from my understanding, and just ran with it. She's been, been working together for about 2 years now with her, and literally she's the one that, changed my life and allowed me to quit my job.
Sweet, dude.
She's been sending you all over the place, right?
Yeah.
You've been playing
yeah.
some really. Today you were telling me you just got back from Vegas. How was
I did.
Vegas?
Was awesome. It's a lot of work.
What did y'all? I'm sure.
It's just a lot of full bore the entire time.
Yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of running, a lot of playing, a lot of
Where'd you
drinking.
play?
The Losers in MGM.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Yep.
Oh wow,
Okay.
that's brand new, isn't it?
Yep.
Man, that's all. How is it, man? Did it turn out?
What's that?
How's the venue? Turned out
It's
amazing.
awesome. Yeah,
yeah.
It's a great venue. Yeah, it is.
And I think you get a lot of country fans in Vegas.
Yeah, and there's not, besides two really massive bars, there's Stoney's and then there's Gillies. And those are the only two really big honky tonks,
Yeah.
and they have live music. But Stoney's does more of the, higher up guys, more signed guys. And then I don't believe they have bands during the week. And then you have the Gillies, which is kind of the same as Losers, but way bigger on the strip to where, this is kind of like a smaller bar, probably 500 capacity place, but more intimate, more set around the Nashville vibe in Vegas,
Yeah.
So it's more songwriter feeling than, I feel like the other ones.
Yeah,
So,
definitely.
and them having access to, Nashville artists, it's a lot better music in my opinion, than having the local guys,
Oh yeah.
out there. But,
All right, man. So you've been on the circuit for a while. Everything's going well with that. So I'm sure you've inevitably started to notice yourself grow as an artist. Where do you kind of see yourself heading, or like what's kind of that next step now that we've kind of covered this 2-year ground here?
Sure. Well, I'm releasing a song actually on May 17th. So I believe it's not this Saturday, next Saturday coming up.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah.
super
Called,
quick, dude.
Awesome.
We drink beer, and it's going on some good Spotify playlists going on. It's got a lot of people backing it, so I'm excited about it. That's the next step. Finally
Killer
get some
song,
music.
by the way.
Yeah,
Killer
thank you.
song.
Thank
Yeah.
you, man. I love it. I mean, it's one of those songs that it's the first one I've ever recorded that I haven't got tired of. Even playing it out every night. I love it as much as everybody who seems to respond to it does. So, and that kind of connection I feel like is vital, especially stepping into more of the original side, because I have done a lot of cover shows in the past, and this is my first initial break into the original world full-fledged, the big dogs. So,
Nice, yeah.
but I've got a good team. I travel with a pretty good-sized crew for a band my size, and I've got all the moving parts starting to work, so it's starting to come together.
That's awesome, man. What was the writing process like for that single that's about to be released, and like how'd you test that out on the road to know that you're probably going to get a great response on it?
Well, I wrote it with my buddy Bobby McLam and Connor Sweet, and Connor's with Given Publishing, Bobby's with Lauren Thorne, and it's a great song, man. And I love the feel of it, and you never know. You sit on a song, you don't know, feel like it takes a couple of days to know if it's if it's you or not, like whether or not it's a good song, before you leave the ride. But if you feel like it's you, and that song just was really stuck in my head, and I went and did a demo on it. They, the publishing paid for a demo to with Frank LeJay, sorry, to do a solid demo on it. And after I heard my voice playing back on it, it was very similar to the master cut, very similar structure. From the Brock Berryhill produced version, and I loved it, man. I was like, man, this is me to the T. This is everything I'm all about. And after 3 years of writing and not releasing anything, I kind of knew where I wanted to go as an artist. But there's always, well, I could do this, or I want to sound like this, but I don't have that song yet. There's so many factors that you want to release, and you want your first one to be who you are more than if you think it's going to be a major, cut. And this song was just me to the bone. I mean, to the core, it was all me, and I jumped on it, and now here we are. It's about to get released to major distribution.
That's awesome,
crazy,
man.
dude. That's awesome.
That's awesome. Now, you played it for me today, and I think it's the second time I heard it. But man, just re-listening to it, man, I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, that's totally you.
Thanks,
and
man.
that's great tune. Let me ask you this, man. When you're playing live, and when you're, I know it's important to have that hit. It's important to have that song that is like totally you, but you also want your crowd to really respond to it. But is there any song that like maybe you still perform out or sneak in every now and then that you don't care if the audience likes it or not? It's so you. It means so much to you that you're just like, I have to play this. Is there a song like that you got in the catalog?
Yeah, I would say "How Country Feels" by Randy Houser.
Nice.
Like if we're talking, for cover songs, I have one of mine that's called "I'm a Little More Small Town Than You Think." That's just a really rocking song that I enjoy on the original side. But as far as like a song that I'll probably always cover most of my life will probably be "How Country Feels." I just love the riff of it, and the song I'm releasing is actually kind of a similar kind of riff. Even we didn't realize that until we were recording it, but so that's one of those songs that really feels good, like kind of like it just flows off the mouth real easy when you sing, and it's rocking, so it's there. But yeah,
it's a great song.
Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this: speaking of songwriting, do you remember your first song that you ever wrote?
I do.
And what's it called?
It was actually called "Important Man."
Nice.
Ooh.
And it's honestly not a bad song.
Still holds up today.
Yes.
I love that, dude.
Wait a minute. So you're trying to tell me the first song you ever wrote wasn't about a girl? It was about an important man.
It was about
good on you,
and
bro.
what the song was about was it's kind of crazy because it paints a great story. It's you walk into a bar and you sit down and the guy's name is Jack, but it's Jack Daniels. So the metaphor is like when me and Jack hang out, I'm a real important man.
Ah,
so,
nice.
Like the chorus is like I
love that.
I pulled up.
I love that too.
I pulled up in an old beat up Chevy today, but when I'm a Jack, what is it? Drove here in a beat up old Chevy van, but when I'm with Jack, I don't know, something like that. I'm important man.
I'm an important man.
If I had a
Something like
guitar, I could.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm
Anyways,
just impressed that
I'll have to play it for
most
y'all.
of our guests, and including myself, it was always about a girl,
Yeah.
a breakup or something.
Yeah, mine was about drinking.
That's a great, and honestly, that's a cool like modern idea that could still work.
Mm-hmm.
We should take a look at that.
I have to show you because it's honestly
I would love
it's a
to
pretty
hear
cool
it.
song. I mean, and it's one of those ones that I wrote in like 5 minutes by myself. Like I just sat down and I was like, this sounds. It's just there's nothing wrong with it, but it's as you go into writing, as you get experience, you realize the flaws in it. But like then I was like, man, this is cool. I even played it out at some shows. I had great response. But
That's awesome.
Dude, it's got a great concept, man. Yeah, just like, addressing that is like something that gives you comfort and like it gives you like, it's kind of like that beer strength or booze strength.
yep.
Yeah.
Could you kind of go and like, I guess explain to the audience, like what's the difference between when you're writing Important Man in 5 minutes as opposed to maybe writing on Music Row here in Nashville and sessions are taking 2, 3, 4 hours.
Yeah.
What's the main, difference that you notice?
Well, and I think there's a beauty to both of it. And I still try to have days, even at home, where I just write to get words out more than to beat the writer's block more than like actually trying to get the song. And I feel like in the early stages of songwriting, that's kind of important, just getting the words out, just, trying to get what you're trying to say out. You're not worried about if it makes sense, if it fits in the song, because that goes, and you need to get more experience writing. It's kind of like a muscle. The more you work it out, the more you get, the more you do it, the better you get. And it's also like a language, like any language at all, that you just, the more you do it, the more you can translate it, the more you can reiterate it back to somebody else,
Dude, that's very important, man. And I think there's, have you ever, maybe we talked about this. Have you ever read Stephen Pressfield's War of Art? Have you read that book?
I have not.
He talks a lot about like one of the biggest things that all artists, writers, musicians have to overcome is resistance, right? And so when you show up every day to do the work, like you're talking about, just writing to get the words out, that beats that resistance, right? So he talks about now this gets kind of out there, but he talks about like the whispers of the seven muses. They're like a Greek mythology group of figures. Anyway, they say like you're going to get more creative whispers if you show up and put the work in. And so, that's a really complicated way of saying that sitting down just to get those words out is a lot more important than a lot of people give it credit for.
Oh yeah, I totally agree, and I like what you said too. It's like it's important to get it out of you, because even if you can't, there's no resolve, or like you can't finish it or even know where it's going. It's nice that it's out, and maybe I can take it on the road or with some people I trust, or maybe I can sit back with it here in a few days and I can finish it myself. But it's just important to get it out.
Absolutely,
that is very smart to say. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely, man. So we were talking before we got started here. You said you got a cool story on how you were testing your new single. Can you go into that?
Sure. So I was playing at a venue in Denver, Colorado called the Grizzly Rose, a pretty big legendary venue down there. All the big Texas guys play there. We've opened up for Aaron Watson out there, Jordan Davis, Jason Bolin, Stoney LaRue, a bunch of A-list Texas guys out there. And I was playing there, opening up for Reckless Kelly, actually, this show. And first time we had really broke it out. The song had been written a couple months before, but after the demo got back, I'm like, hey, guys, we're playing this. We were already out west playing when we got the demo back. We were playing in Nebraska, Kearney, Nebraska. And I was like, hey, we're playing this week in Denver. because we do that run next to, we go to Denver on Tuesday and start playing, and we played on Sunday in Kearney. So I was like, hey, we're going to play this song, everybody learn it, and we're going to open up this band, Reckless Kelly, and we broke it out, and it was a sold-out show, so, I mean, they had a packed house already when we started playing, and I told everybody, it's my next single, we just got the cut back from it today, and we literally, the response I got from it was just unbelievable. They screamed louder than any cover song we played.
Wow.
Oh, that's
like even
awesome.
ones they sing along to. And they don't have a lot of security for the opening bands there. It's kind of a setup. As soon as we leave, the green room opens up to the bigger guys, and we're kind of just on our own in the crowd. Well, that was a bad idea. And I was glad, it's the first time I've ever been bombarded by 1,500 people at once, but it was cool. I mean, I loved every second of it. It's kind of like wow, like this is a sign of what's to come,
This is how it is
and
every day.
I was like, it has to be something special. Like, we've done this before. We've done the same circuit, played the same venues, and never had that kind of response from a song. And after, I was already planning on cutting it, and that we didn't have the actual master. That was still just the demo I got, but we couldn't believe it. I mean, my whole band, they're like, dude, that's something special. I mean, they were there right there for it. So it was cool, because I kind of told the owners too. I was like, thanks for leaving me hanging. They're like, what? They had no idea.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, but it was great. I mean, it was cool. Everybody's dream is to play in front of a big crowd, to be appreciated, something you write by a big crowd. And that was the first initial smack in the face of, wow, this is it. This is what it looks like. It's not just pretend anymore. It's not just, acting like So it was cool. It was definitely had a big smile, even though it was a lot of work. I think I signed about 500 stinking, shirts at once. It was all arms, but it was great. I mean, it was awesome. Cool experience.
Dude, I'm getting chills just hearing that, man, because that is the dream right there, dude. And like I'm just thinking as you're telling that story, the thousands of people that aren't even going to get to experience that one little moment right there, man. I just think that's got to feel incredible, man. So
Made it all worth it.
Oh,
Made it all
and what a
worth it.
cool thing that you actually take a platform where you can perform in front of so many, like, hundreds of thousands of people. And then you were saying this too off air. You were like, I'll play a song that is kind of in the same vein of this cover song that we played that the crowd reacted to, and then I'll sneak this one in, and just to see what they do. That is so smart, and not many people get that platform. So
Right.
that's very, very just a great use of that song to really, and that's so amazing. You got the reaction you did, man. That's so cool. I bet that you were kind of freaked out a little bit.
Oh man,
afterwards,
I was, man, and just like talking about that, I know so many great bands, that are incredible here in Nashville. Like, I've got so many friends that've got incredible bands, and it's kind of hard, even at our level, all of our level, to invest thousands and thousands of dollars into something that you haven't even tested. You don't know. I mean, what you love as an artist may be a great B-side for your music and may do something, but you never know which song you're going to take the break on, and it's kind of nice that I get to do that, and I'm honestly blessed to say that I have that access to pretty good amounts of people at the shows. Everywhere we go, it's at least 500 to 1,000. So I mean, it's incredible.
yeah, that's an amazing pool to test out new stuff on. So that's awesome, man. I'm curious, so what, we're up into this point. And honestly, it sounds like it's been like a pretty smooth sailing road so far. And I know that's not probably entirely accurate. What's your role as like a leader with your band? I'm sure it's got to get hard and stressful out there sometimes, man. Do you ever have to like pick the guys up? Like, what role does your vision and leadership play in it?
Oh, yeah.
I'm curious to hear that.
I mean, the big plus about that is I actually travel with my brother. He's my bass player. So anything that, if it's beyond me that I need him to do, he's such a, he sees the vision in it too, and there's no like question. If something needs to get done, he's either doing it or he's telling me to do it. Honestly, like, he's just quick, and
That's huge, yeah.
They say nobody runs your business as well as you do, and that's true. But when you got somebody working for you that's not in it for the money, that just literally knows that you're going to make it and believes in you, that's a big help. I mean, because we travel with 6 guys a lot of times. We'll carry, we're a 4-piece band. We got a videographer / photographer and a merch guy. So we travel around with a decent crew. I mean, for a little 12-passenger van, and it gets hectic sometimes. And all of my crew is great. I mean, their guys have been with me for a little long time now. At least a year and a half. So I mean, I trust them. I trust them with a lot more than I probably should. But it's a working machine. And I've had band members before. Where you're dealing with egos also on top of everything involved. There's always always going to be a problem no matter what. Blow a tire, you're always going to have a band member who's aggravated. But as far as my crew, they're all great, man. They're all A-list guys, best friends of mine. Could call them right now to come hang out, and they do it. So that takes a lot of stress when it comes to a big place. You got 6 guys walks to a building and know how this thing works. It takes a lot of stress off me.
Definitely, yeah.
But I also know how to be. I was always a sports captain in football and basketball when I played, so I always knew how to how to delegate, but also not be a dick about it.
You have that kind of leadership quality, because I think we all know too, being in a band, it's like having 5 wives.
It is.
Everyone has to be happy for it to work.
Right.
So the crew that you're with, they're loyal dogs, man. I mean, how long has this crew been together with you?
So I've had my drummer John Truck for about a year and a half now. He's been playing with me. We actually even me, him, and Matt, my brother who plays bass for me. We've totaled a car together on the road, like with a trailer. So I mean, his first show, we were headed to Virginia. Bad blizzard, and my brother Matt was driving, and it hit some ice, and we flipped it. We flipped the trailer. We didn't flip, thank God, but wrecked the car. We hit the side rail, didn't hit anybody, but I mean, it was big snow chunks, man. It was a bad blizzard. I mean, terrible. And we shouldn't have been driving it anyway, but we were running late to the show anyway. And what do, man? It's
you being from Florida too. I mean, you're not used to driving in the snow,
right? Exactly. He's not either, because he's from there too. So. And the other guys were whooped. We had just, we did an all-nighter driving through the night, and Matt was the only one who got some sleep. So it was hard for him, but we hit that. And so literally, it was crazy his first show, but he was really cool about it. He was like, man, his drums were in a soft case. I was worried it was going to be destroyed.
And it wasn't?
He's got a 1969 Ludwig kit in the back, and I'm literally like, dude, this stuff's demolished.
That's a collector's item, yeah.
So, and it wasn't.
Wow.
None of our gear was scratched. Our trailer was, looked like a tin can you stepped on. It was
just mangled.
Wow.
Yeah.
But the gods were with you that day.
Yep. Oh man, yeah, it was scary, and none of us were hurt. We were fine. But so and he survived that the first show. He's been with me ever since, about a year and a half now, and I've had my guitar player Tim Avon for about a year now, and same thing, great guy. We all got crazy stories like any band does. We got
for sure
videos that the world's never going to see that nobody should see, but it make us very happy.
I mean, I think it's appropriate to ask. It would be disrespectful not to, but can you tell us a crazy story from the road?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
I'm
our
loving
audience
this.
A crazy
I'll
road
give you all a bunch
story.
of them.
Here we go.
So one of my favorite ones, and John's going to hate me for this, my drummer, but John's the kind of guy, when he gets really drunk, he loses everything. He loses his phone, loses his keys. The next morning when we see him, we're like, and when he's not drunk, he's the most organized. He's our navigator. Like anywhere we're at on the road, man, he don't let us miss it. And it's just natural to him. He's one of those guys, like, know where he's going. Me and Matt are the worst direction people. We have no idea where we're going, never have, never will. But when John's drunk, he's the opposite. He loses everything. So we were in a hotel, and the next morning we're like, he's like, oh, I lost my phone. And we were actually staying in, I believe it was Iowa. Yeah, it was Iowa. It was Ames, Iowa, I believe. And we were over there. We were in our hotel. It comes up the next morning. I lost my phone, man. I don't know where it's at. And so we looked all over. We only went to the venue, which is right across the street in here, the entire time we were there. And he had it when he got back home that night. So we looked all over, checked the van to pieces, checked the hotel, asked anybody if they saw it, called the bar owner. We went through the whole thing. And literally, he randomly opened up the laundry room where ladies go in, and he had got drunk last night and thought it was his room, opened up the door, threw it in there, and walked out. And if he wouldn't open that door thinking it wasn't his room again, he probably wouldn't have found it.
That's crazy, man.
So that's a tame one. You get a lot more extreme, but that's a pretty funny one.
I like it.
Yeah, no, that's good, man.
So you seem to have traveled all over the place, man. I mean, can you tell us, is there like a favorite city, favorite stop that you remember that stays with you?
Man, I really love Colorado. Denver is a lot of fun, and
there's a lot of fun.
We get to be out there for a week in a house right downtown. So I mean, we literally just take full advantage of that. We go everywhere, do everything, go all over, hike, and just have a great time, man. I mean, I like Vegas a lot too. I don't like being out there for a week because it's
You lose a lot of money.
Man.
Burn all that money you made.
It's hectic, dude. Within those
Man.
first days, 2 days out in Vegas, you're like, man, this is a mistake. But you got to stay
Yeah,
there.
2 or 3 days tops in Vegas, then you got to go.
Absolutely. I think anybody agrees on that too. But I got to go to the new Belize bar, the Losers Bar in Belize. And that was really cool. It was cool to go to another country. I mean, the best thing about that was their native language was English, and it's cool to go to another culture that's not Americanized, that you can have a full conversation with. Their slang's the same, everything, and you learn so much about the simplicities of life. Because they literally have a full conversation about everything with you. Like, it's amazing the way cultures grow up differently than us, and be able to translate that was really the best experience about that whole trip. I soaked it all in. The nicest people in the world are in Belize. I swear, man. Just
Really?
Dude, that's
you walk
amazing.
by somebody like, where you going? Like, this bar. Oh, I'll buy you a beer. Come on. Like, just randomly, okay. Why? I mean, they just do. They're just such
I
nice
thought
people.
Nashville was nice.
They are,
Southern
and Nashville
hospitality.
is.
But Nashville's
Right.
nice, but Nashville,
Not Belize
Nashvillians,
nice,
they won't tell you everything. It seems like in Belize, they'll tell you everything.
Right. Oh, they will. They will. And they want to know everything about you. They'll ask you crazy questions. You're like, oh, okay. That's cool. That's a good, cool question. Like,
Yeah, we're getting deep.
I never thought about
Yeah.
that before.
But
There's
yeah.
a Losers in Belize, like Losers here in Nashville.
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Yep.
I
And it's
never knew
right on the
that.
water, right in San Pedro.
Oh
What's,
man,
what's
they're
the
just
story?
great marketing.
What's the story behind them expanding so much? Because they're really aggressive. With
They
this.
are. The whole point of Belize was Belize is not very. It's touristy, but it's still not a major touring location yet. Okay. And Steve Ford, the owner, he was actually out there last time, and I was talking to him, and he's just he kind of got a jump on the market. And from now going out there and seeing the amount of people there and the demand for a bar like Losers that's got live music, and they have a lot of live music out there, but nothing that is touristy, nothing that's, it's more of it's all, mainly Spanish music, which is what the locals like, but there's so many tourists out there, there's not really any. So, I mean, and what a beautiful bar. I mean, it'd be gorgeous. I mean, it looks like you're, all the stuff you see from Cancun and all that crazy, like, it's that nice. I mean, it's some of the bluest water I've ever seen, and I really enjoyed being out there for about a week.
That's
How long
awesome,
does it
man.
take to get out there?
Yeah, about almost all day. I mean,
All day?
it's a
Okay,
lot.
yeah, I figured it's a hike.
On the way there, it was 4 flights. It was 5 on the way back because you got to take small planes here and there. I had like 3 layovers and then 2 small planes or something like that. Like, it takes all day. It's an all day event. You're getting up early and you're getting there late, but it's worth it completely.
Nice. Dude, that's amazing, man. Yeah, I remember I saw a picture of that. You got to like walk down that long dock, and then it's in like one of those like grass hut type of things.
Oh, yeah.
Looks sick, dude. I want to go big time.
I have a question.
Please
should
share.
all
I
go
have a
next time.
question. Well, I've always, because I know, like, especially doing the cover circuit, you're playing a lot of the same songs and stuff,
Yeah.
and that's great. You sneak, your stuff in, and that's very important. But I want to know, like, what is that one song that you're gonna play, and then everyone is just gonna lose their shit? Like, what is that song?
Oh, that's a great question. Oh,
Because
man.
or does it vary from
so
city
you
to
mean
city,
like
or is
one
it just
that's
one?
like not my favorite, but one that I know is one.
It's definitely not your
Man.
favorite, but look, we're kind of losing them, but if we play this song, everyone's gonna go ape shit. Like, what is
Dude.
that song, and why is that song so good?
Wagon Wheel, and I know that's
Oh,
so
yeah.
stereotypical, but if you want one that beats that, because everybody, all musicians despise that song for some reason. It's a great song, but
Yeah,
It is. It's just
and
played out.
I never played the Broadway circuit enough to hate it, so I do play it. If people ask for it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not burnt out.
Yeah.
And I completely understand why people don't. It's a same progression the entire song. We've all heard it a million times,
Yeah.
most of our lives, But probably Chicken Fried,
Yo, okay.
probably. And
I
I think
thought-
it's a great song, but
No, that is a great song. Mm-hmm. Actually, I love Zach Brown Band. It's just they're unbelievable to me.
They are.
I thought you were gonna say Journey, Don't Stop Believing.
I don't even play it.
Good
Yeah,
for
don't
you.
even touch it.
I
Good.
don't even sing it. I probably couldn't even tell you all the words to it.
Good for
honestly.
you.
Good.
Hey,
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what? When I got married, I told my wife there's 2 rules: no Katy Perry and no Journey, because we are not ending my wedding with "Don't Stop Believing," because everybody does
Everybody,
it.
you're absolutely right.
That's good stuff, man. Well, yeah, dude. So kind of go back through. So, I mean, I know you got you guys with you now. Through this next phase, once this single is released, like they all get to go with you, I would assume, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So have you guys started talking about like what the next phase looks like and how like getting to that next level is
Sure.
going to affect everyone?
Well, we've actually been connected with the Hard Rock casinos recently too.
Oh, nice.
So we're working on that circuit right now. I played the one in Sioux City 2 weekends ago in Iowa, and I'm playing the one in Tulsa, Oklahoma in these 2 weeks. And we're starting to break into those. We got a couple of them more lined up. We got some dates on. So that's kind of the next step. You know, it transitioning is based on, you know, my point of my level of my career with, you know, Spotify streams and stuff. So with this next single coming out, we're kind of in limbo with that until, you know, we get the results of that. And then, you know, it turns into either all original show or just completely different venues. So, but I'm booked up until most of this year, until September about right now. And we're kind of being slow with the rest of the year because we don't know what's kind of going to hold. And it's kind of hard because you put a lot of things, a lot of opportunities on hold because of that, you know, with, you know, because we're starting to get some festivals, starting to get some other things too that, you know, we got to see because you don't know and you don't want to make commitments you can't and get something in contract that's going to hurt your career. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
man.
no, as far as my guys go, man, they're fully on board. They're so ready, and it's cool to have a band because it's different. For me, growing up in rock bands, I know how to handle a band. You know, like you said, it's like having a whole bunch of wives. But the cool thing in the country world is they're, you know, hired contractors, and they don't have to believe in you. There's a paycheck to them. You know, it's whatever they need to do. But I'm good enough. I have that band vibe. My guys are in it wholeheartedly, completely. You know, and they care about the music just as much as I do. And you know, they don't. You know, they would never tell me, oh, I don't. You know, we're going to do this way or do it that way. You know, they kind of leave the song structure up to me and the songwriting. But as far as like the music goes, man, they're fully involved, and I'm glad they are because we're tight.
That's awesome.
That's amazing.
That's really
So-
important,
And
man.
I think you do it, especially in Nashville. You see it on stage, I think. Just the hired guns that kind of play, and they're like, okay, they're definitely wanting a paycheck. They're not really feeling the music. Say you do bring in a song, and you're like, I love this, we're playing it. Does your band, because you guys are very close, they're very loyal, do they, would they speak up and be like, you know, I don't know about this song, or maybe we should change this, or like, are they usually just pretty cool?
Absolutely. And the best there again, going back to Matt, you know, having an honest answer. And some of the songs that I'm dying to do because I think that they're great for the market. You know, I'm like, and he'll just be like, man, that's not, to me, it's not you. And he knows me more than anybody. You know, he grew up with him my entire life. We've always been close our entire life, always played music together. I taught him how to play bass when he was 9 years old, just so
Wow.
I could have somebody to jam with, you know.
That's
so,
awesome, man.
That's awesome.
And-
You have that. You have
Yeah.
that guy that'll shoot you straight. 'Cause
And he does, and
a luxury.
every time.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even hurt his feelings if he's trying to hurt mine. You know what I mean? Like, he's just brutally honest, and I love
Yeah.
that about him because he knows that his opinion means something. And I'm like, okay, we're not doing that song. I mean, I agree with you. You know,
No, you
So-
need
awesome.
that. Yeah, absolutely. Can you pull back the curtains a little bit? Because I think it's interesting for people to hear. Like, lots of people see these big bands, you know, in arenas or at, you know, these big A-level clubs. It feels like there is like a set circuit. Can you walk us through just real quick, like what the like club circuit looks like before you get to those big arenas? Because it seems
Yeah.
like there is like a process. I think that'd be helpful.
And there's so many, you know, venues nowadays. There's so many, you know, they're everywhere now. But the ones we play are more of the B-level honky tonk, you know, the 1,000 capacity to 2,000 capacity. Very few of them are, you know, under that. Even if there's only, you know, 500 people there, most time it's a pretty big place. You know, a lot of the same venues as like Michael Ray and Chris Lane play, you know, all over the U.S. I mean, we go for anywhere from Denver to Chicago to, you know, everywhere. I mean, anywhere within, most of the time, 10 to 15 hours of Nashville we cover. I mean, and we do about 150 shows a year. I mean, so it's pretty steady. I mean,
Yeah,
but-
that's amazing, man. Is that draw there for you, or is it
no,
there for
no. The
for
most of these bars we play, luckily, and that's the reason why they hire out. You know, my agent Tracy's. They've got a good enough built-in following, and most of the time, you know, no bar has a sold out, you know, bar naturally or sold out, you know, crowd every show.
right?
As far as that goes, but we bring anywhere between 50 to 100 people a show we play, and that on top of, you know, 500, 600 could make for a really good crowd, you know.
Definitely.
And the more you play there, the more followers you get, the more people come up every show. And on estimate, it's not as much as you would think. You know, you get 5 to 10 that like come up and say, "Man, we loved your music," but they come back. I mean, I'd say 50% of them come back.
Nice.
So even if it is a small time, you hammer the same places for a couple of years, eventually, it means something. Even if, your song doesn't go to radio, if your song does that, you're still building a business, and that's what I encourage a lot of bands that just start traveling to do. Is like, don't worry about how good your show is. I mean, yeah, you got to worry about that stuff. You got to get tight, but worry about the people that are there. If there's only 5, don't get discouraged. Go down and talk to them, and be like, hey, thank you for coming. It's a private show for y'all, joke with them, have a good time with them, buy them a beer, and it will come back in the long run,
That's awesome. Yeah, man. Because people don't think about that. Those fans are your customers, man. You gotta pay attention to them and take care of them just like you would, if you were running a grocery store or a lemonade stand, whatever, man. There's no difference between that. That's awesome, man. Have you picked up any so that's a good little segue there. Have you picked up any success lessons along the way being out on the road that are similar to spending more time with your fans or things like that you weren't aware of before you started touring that lead to success as a musician?
Yeah. I really like when people, and everybody always, DMs always get loaded up, but when somebody says, hey, they message you, and I get, anywhere between 20 to 30 a show. It's like, hey, I'm coming to your show. I can't wait to see it. Love your music, or, that kind of thing. I make sure that I go above and beyond to hang out with them. Even more than people that are already there. And so many times, right when you walk off the stage, you're always going to meet somebody that wants to be, oh, man, I know so-and-so sings. I know somebody, they try to take up all your time. And me and my band have a code, a secret code, that if I need to get away and say, hey, I've got these people I got to see, that's part of the business, is knowing who's there and why they're there, and you want to seek those people out, because if I find them, then they're super fans. If I find them and call them by name, it really helps. And I honestly enjoy that. Like, after shows, I enjoy saying, oh, wow, they're here. Let me go find them and go hang out with them, because they always come back. Those kind of people. And most of the time, they're probably at that bar every weekend watching bands anyway, but they're your fans, if you look that way. And I've kind of got my little techniques to get away and find them, hang out with them, do my thing. But it's hard. I mean, that many people in a place, everybody wants to talk to you. I try to get around, and I don't get to talk as much, because most of the time when we're playing, it's till 1 or 2 and the bars close at 2. So I've got 30-minute, most of the time 30 minutes, sometimes an hour window to talk to everybody who needs to get talked to. So
yeah, I think that's so important, and just the engagement factor that you hold so seriously with your fans and with people that message you and stuff. Because I think in the music industry, back in maybe the 90s or even before then, I mean, you used to get signed to labels because you had a lot of talent.
Right.
And then what do? They throw you to the road, and then you learn that kind of system where you're learning things like that, but you already have a deal. It's actually really nice to get all that out of the way. Be seasoned in it. I already know how to engage people. I know how to talk to people. Now it's it's a whole different formula than I think it was back then. And that's so cool that you're learning all this and soaking all this stuff up, and you love to do it.
Yeah.
That makes a great artist for me.
Sure. And, me growing up pretty religious, my family is, my dad used to be a youth pastor, and I'm pretty, I believe in God myself. My dad always told me to always pray for the long route. You never want the short route. He always said, not in business or anything. That's just something he always told me growing up, is you want the long route, pray for the long route, and it's always going to be better. And the older I get, even in this career, especially it pertains to this, going further along, is the route is the fun. It's not that you arriving, it's not that you making it. It's the highway ride, where you get, that's totally the actual fun. That's where it all means something. And I'm glad, honestly, I've had to start from the bottom, very bottom. First moved to town, nobody believes in you, even the friends you meet, and they don't for anybody. But I always try to look for this next step, the one next small step. The next step is always small. It's not as big as the whole picture. And just from years and years of learning how to, photo design myself, how to do everything you have to do to look presentable to get these kind of shows, I've always tried to learn a little bit at. Didn't have to be the best. If I could pay somebody to do it that's better, I would do it. If as long as it's in the budget, and just growing like that, just the long way is the, and I feel like some people blow up too quick and their career ends quick. I feel like the slower you grow, the longer the outcome, and I've enjoyed the ride. And that's, some advice I could tell anybody in a band. The ride is the best part. I mean, the videos you see the next morning that you're like, what in the world? That's the fun. That's the,
The slower you grow, the faster, or the longer the outcome. That's a great line.
The slower you grow, the longer you
the longer the outcome.
Yeah.
The slower you grow.
And there's no scientific proof behind that, but it's just something I've always thought about.
I think it's very true.
No, that's awesome, man. Yeah, it's very true.
So your today and all right, like your voice is amazing.
Thank you.
I love it, and it kind of captures like you say you tend to go kind of with like the Blake Shelton kind of tendencies with some of the how you deliver the verbiage and stuff, and then a little bit of Chris Young. Were these people that like when you were listening to were they inspirations for you or?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, Chris Young is one of my favorite artists. I mean, his music, singer, his voice is like butter to me, and Blake Shelton honestly the same way. I mean, he's. Even his new song, his new one that just came out, I'm in love with, and I'm like,
it's
God's Country.
God's Country.
Yeah, it's great.
Man, that's a good song. And Hardy wrote that, I think.
I think he did.
I think he's on that.
Yeah.
Man, the devil went down to Georgia, but what's that line?
But he didn't stay long.
But he didn't stay long. Dang, that's a good song. What else? Like growing up, like you said, you were into rock music. What kind of inspirations was it? Like kind of the '80s rock scene, or like kind of the '90s buzz rock? Was it like Guns N' Roses?
No, I was into the Nickelback, 3 Days Grace, that early 2000s, out of grunge, really tight Howard Benson produced kind of rock, all that stuff, that's why I learned how to play guitar on, because that was really big then, and it's still, even to this day, I listen to it, and my inspirations, Nickelback's my all-time favorite band, all time. Like
if you didn't own
that
Silver
first
Side
Drive
Up,
record,
if you didn't own that record, then we weren't talking.
Exactly.
It was such a hard rocking record.
Oh yes,
great songs, hit after hit after hit.
Green Day, same way. Like I love them a lot. That kind of music was really. I was skateboarding at the time when I was a kid too. On top of playing music, that was the cool thing to do in your lower teens, and I was all about it. And but I always had country in my back. Like I always knew all those songs, loved them. But
yeah. Garrett's actually a fantastic metal singer. Little known
I know.
fact. Maybe that's a secret that we should keep.
I gotta hear your metal voice. I think next time we get together,
I've got it on my phone. I'll show you.
Okay,
dude, it's amazing. Yeah,
really.
I'll let everyone else kind of be teased by it, but dude,
you look
sick.
like you could sing metal though. For all of you who don't know Garret, you're very rocked out. Like there's a rock energy with you for sure. That's always kind of, it's very capturing and it stayed with you. So that's cool. So you seem to be, you're a well-traveled musician. You've, a fantastic artist, great songwriter. Kevin, I like to ask this question. If someone who is an aspiring, artist, maybe country artist or whatever artist, and they want to move down to Nashville, if they wrote you a cold email to kind of, maybe just pick your brain and see if you could give a little bit of advice, what kind of advice would you give that person?
I would say, that's a good question too. I'd probably say just wait your turn. Don't be afraid to be patient on waiting your turn. Because when you first moved here, it's overwhelming. Most people come here with having a decent social following or a good, draw at shows, and it's a whole different game when you get here because it's not just you. There's other places to see music. There's a lot. There's always a better band. There's always going to be, somebody who's lesser than you that's better, or bigger than you that's better, and or not as good. But that's your opinion. Everybody, it's all opinionated anyway. But just don't be afraid to wait your turn, because when you first moved here, you're going to want to get the best rights. You're going to want to walk into a record label and say, "I'm ready because my dad thinks I'm good."
That's super true.
And everybody has that. Anybody who's ever made it that's came to Nashville has had that come to Jesus that, wow, I'm not as good as I thought I was.
Or I wasn't as prepared as I thought I was.
And I don't believe anybody comes straight into Nashville, and even on the big level, just get signs for what they are. Everybody learns something, even if it's a little bit, then they go to the top. Everybody comes here and learns something more than you can learn in your hometown.
Yeah, coming to Nashville is an educational experience all in itself. So you need to, I agree, man. You would have to have, not to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're saying is like you need to embrace the educational experience that
teachable.
Nashville gives to you. Yeah, because everyone has had that rite of passage, and you need to be open to that, or else it's just it's not even worth giving it a shot.
And I thought I was a pretty good guitar player till I moved here, and then I realized, and I've learned from these guys, and that's just. I've incorporated me learning so much more guitar from my friends here, also with my singing. I'm become a way better singer than I ever thought I would be. And, that's not pat myself on the shoulder, but it's the same thing relating it to the guitar as the voice as an instrument. I've learned that, wow, you move here and you think you're good until you hear what better is, and they teach you what better is. The guitar player teaches you, the vocal people teach you, and that goes along with the learning how to market yourself, learning how to, control your social media. The whole business plan, part of that is getting better as a musician, and the only way you do that is playing shows. You can sit in your room all day, you can play all you want, but playing shows is what gives you an edge, your own sound.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You got to get in the game and test it out in real life. And
it's almost like comedy. It's like
Yep.
you could be the funniest guy in the room, but you don't know how good you are until you go out and perform. You can perform in front of the mirror every time,
Absolutely.
and the mirror's not going to laugh. You actually have to go out there, and music is a lot like that.
You got some comedy for us?
No, I don't.
Oh man,
No.
that made me very excited.
I probably have some dick jokes in my back pocket, but I don't know. But no, definitely, because I'll tell you what, man. When I first moved here, and Kevin probably knows this too. I mean, I'd never been out on my own before. It was in my early 20s, and so I mean, the first couple of years, I was just learning how to be out on my own and to take care of myself and survive. And then I was like, okay, I can write songs and. I know melody and stuff, and I think I'm a pretty good singer, but it takes years. And
I actually do like your voice. I got to hear him sing for the first time today. I've
Dude,
never got to hear him sing.
It's gotten even better over the years, man.
Just like you, it's gotten better from being here.
Yeah.
From being here, because you see, like...
You got some rasp, man. I like it.
You got some grit, but you can sing metal. I don't know if I can sing metal. Can you get, like, the super high, like...
Oh, yeah. I'll show you later.
But he can hit the harmonies, though, man. You guys got a great team.
We're thinking a side
right
project?
Yeah.
Maybe a little side project.
He's been trying for a while.
I have, man.
Oh,
I've been
wow.
like, ever since I heard about it, I was like, I want that drum gig, man. I'm your drummer for the metal band.
It's funny because after our write, I was telling him, actually, and Mike and I were saying, we're like, we needed to do something like this. We need to do something kind of rockier because, it's in your blood. It's in your blood.
Yeah.
So it was so good to get that out.
That is awesome, man. Well, cool, man. This feels like a good place to stop. I think we pretty much touched on everything, man. You definitely gave people some good nuggets of knowledge, man. I think we definitely got to know you better and kind of hearing what the journey is going to be like coming ahead. Go ahead and plug the single again, man. Tell everyone where they can find you online and just kind of recap all that for them.
Cool. You can find it on any platform, any distribution platform, Spotify, Apple Music, all that good stuff on May 17th. It goes for pre-order on May 10th.
All right, man. That's amazing.
It's called We Drink Beer. Garret Speer.
Great song.
We Drink Beer, Garret Speer. There it is. Great shirt too, man.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'm ready for those shirts to come out.
I'm selling the hell out of those things.
Yeah, I bet, man. I bet. Well, man, we like to end every podcast, as we said in the introduction, that bomb your boundaries is kind of the tagline for the company here. But we also like to hear, from our guests what it means to them, because I think everyone else, kind of has their own interpretation of what it means.
Sure.
So what does the phrase bomb your boundaries mean to you, man?
Man, the bomb the boundaries for me, because for a guy that, as much as we're on the road, I do deal with a little bit of anxiety, and it's cool to have a brand that's got our back. Like even somebody like you guys that, without a doubt, your whole brand is built around fighting that anxiety and getting around, bombing your boundaries. What holds us back, getting through what's holding me back and learning what that is. It's cool to have a company that backs that and full supports it, man. And that's what it means to me. I'm all about it.
That's awesome.
Thank y'all so much for letting me be a supporter. I can't wait to see where it's going to go.
Yeah, man. We thank you. Man.
Thank you. Yeah, it's an honor to have you be a part of it, man. I mean, you represent exactly what we started this whole thing for, man. So it's cool to see it in action out there and watch it grow. Got anything to add, bro?
No, man, I just thank you for being here, man. And just once again, fucking awesome write.
Yeah,
awesome write
man.
today, man. I'm so excited to continue this relationship
Me
and
too,
keep
man.
working with you and see where your career goes.
It's definitely
man.
one of my favorite songs I've ever written, for
that's
sure.
so
That's
badass.
huge, man.
Yeah, that's so badass, man. No,
Shout out to Michael August, too.
Oh, Mike August, the technician is what we call him. The technician who right before the podcast, I think we wrote the song around like 10:30, 11 o'clock. He's still talking about the song and still trying to work out some kinks. And I'm like, nah, Garret and I are like, dude, it's perfect.
It's done.
It's perfect, man. It's so good. But he appreciates it because he fucking loves it.
Yeah.
He knows how good it was. So
I appreciate y'all bringing me on board for that. It was awesome.
Hell yeah.
Great experience.
Hell yeah, man. There was definitely some magic in that room.
Oh, it was.
But no, y'all, thank you very much for listening. And, stay tuned for the next couple podcasts, man. We our next guest is going to be our first female. We got Miss Nora Collins, who is a terrific female artist here in Nashville. But we thank Garret again for being here, man, and chatting with us, and hope you guys enjoyed his story. Kevin, you want to say anything?
Yep. Yeah. As always, if this podcast brought you value, which I know it did, we covered a lot of ground, gave you some good industry insights, gave you some good actionable steps on if you are an artist thinking about moving to Nashville. So if any of that helped you, added value to you, please rate and review this on iTunes. It really helps with the rankings. And, email this, send a DM to someone who you think would benefit from this episode. It just helps us kind of spread this message and get that movement out there, man. It's the most important thing to us. So please spread it if it helps you. And until then, man, we'll see you guys next time.
Bomb your boundaries, baby.
Peace. Peace.